Alright, so I've now played almost every single Nintendo Switch 2 game at launch. Almost. There are two I've skipped. Nobunaga's Ambition, which I bounced off hard on Switch 1 because, let's be honest, way too intelligent for me, and Welcome Tour, which I just couldn't justify buying because even I run a Switch channel, but still, it is just an interactive instruction manual. However, today, from all of the other games, we are ranking what I think are the 10 most visually stunning games you can play on Switch 2 right now. Now quickly before we do dive in, this is a smaller channel, but I've been covering Switch now for over 7 years. Reviews, deals, performance breakdowns, deep dives, all of it. So if you are enjoying the content, hitting subscribe genuinely helps more than you'd think. Alright, let's get into it. Now just quickly, for a good portion of this list, I've already covered the games on the channel, so if you want performance reviews or full breakdowns, you will find those videos linked in the comments below. Also, this is my personal list. Let me know what's visually impressed you in the comments too. And while then this is a visual ranking, I'll also be touching briefly on what each game's about and flag any issues or concerns, because as fun as visual showpieces are with a new system, I'd rather give you that full picture. First up at number 10, I've gone with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, and yes, I'm grouping them together because the visual upgrades here are very similar. Now both games are running at a full 60 FPS on Switch 2, and that really does help showcase their already beautiful art direction, but let's be honest, these aren't visual overhauls. The texture work, the lighting, the models, all still built for Switch 1 and originally even the Wii U. Now they look and feel better, no question about that, but in terms of raw visual ambition or fidelity, they're not quite on the level of what we're seeing from some of the other games in this list. Still, beautiful games, now running, in my opinion, the way they always should have. Next up is Split Fiction, a co-op action game. Now here, you and a friend play as Mio and Zoe, two writers trapped in a simulation of their own imaginations. This is basically after a high-tech attempt to steal their creative ideas, it goes wrong. Now that setup isn't just for show, it explains why you're constantly shifting between wildly different environments. One moment it's all neon-soaked sci-fi, the next you're in this classic fantasy world. It is stylish, sharp, and it runs natively on Switch 2. Also worth noting, the 71 gig install size with this game, huge, the largest on the system right now, but I'd put that down to a lot of that visual ambition. It also then comes with a friend pass, so only one person needs to own the game to play through the whole thing in co-op. A feature that I absolutely adore, a feature I think more studios need to experiment with. So yeah, with this one, look, honestly, one of the best games of the year. It's got stiff competition from Claire Obscure. Please release that on the Switch, by the way. But very few problems as well. I'd say the only one some might point out is its unlocked frame rate. But honestly, playing it, I didn't really notice. I was having too much fun, and sometimes that's all that matters. So yeah, visually, conceptually, Split Fiction absolutely earns its place on this list. Fast Fusion, the anti-gravity racer from Shin'en, is being called the best looking game on Switch 2 by a lot of people, and I get it, on paper it absolutely delivers. You know, you've got support for 4K at 60 FPS docked, HDR, and a huge number of visual modes. You can prioritize resolution, quality, frame rate. Really depends on what you're wanting to get out of it. But here's the thing, I definitely wouldn't recommend the 30 FPS mode, which is the highest graphical setting. The bumping visuals just isn't worth the drop in responsiveness. Now, another thing that comes up with this release is the track count as a complaint. It launched with 12 tracks, they all look fantastic, but it's not quite as stacked as Fast RMX. Look, to be fair to this comment, I've been seeing it quite a bit. A lot of RMX's tracks, they were carried over actually from a previous entry. For this release, it's all just brand new. On a side note as well, Shin'en have also said there's going to be a free update on the way with more tracks, so that should definitely help. Now the reason it's actually at number 8 for me though, for visuals, it's just the image can look a little soft at times no matter which mode you're using. Look, basically, it's a technically impressive launch title, no question about it. They've even teased 120 FPS support, which would be huge. But yeah, I don't think it's maybe quite as special as some have made out. Next up is Mario Kart World, and look, it's Mario Kart, so of course it looks gorgeous. The art style is as clean as ever, the lighting's a step up, and performance is rock solid. But this is a list focused on technical and visual ambition, and as polished as this is, it's not exactly pushing the boundaries like some of the other games we'll get to. The big new feature with this release is the open world setup where tracks are stitched together across a shared world map. And while it looks great, I'm still not totally sold on it. It's a fun twist, sure, but it doesn't feel like a meaningful change to how the game actually plays. And yeah, it's about as vibrant as you'd expect from Nintendo, but yeah, I don't think it's the system to really show off the visual power of the Switch 2. And number 6 is Hitman World of Assassination. Now, if you've never played a Hitman game, the setup is simple. You are Agent 47, a genetically engineered assassin dropped into huge, detailed sandbox levels where you can take out targets in really whatever creative way you want. Stealth, disguises, accidents, even a fish if you really kind of want to. And visually, it impressed me. This is a huge, dense world, and it is all here. From Dubai's towering skyscrapers to the rain-soaked alleys of China, the full experience has made it across. I went in expecting cutbacks, smaller crowds, stripped-back environments, but that didn't happen. Now, of course, there are sacrifices. The lighting has clearly been scaled back, and the resolution isn't as sharp as what you'd see on other platforms, but considering what the Switch 2 is working with, it's impressive just how close this can get to the full experience. That said, it's not perfect for this reason. The frame rate is uncapped and you really feel it. Some locations hold steady. The Berlin nightclub surprised me with how well it ran, but others like Dubai's art gallery absolutely tanked with my time hands-on. I also ran into an issue then with HDR, had to turn that off. Apparently it's a problem on all systems with this game. But then finally, look, here's the thing with this release. The ambition is here, and in many areas it delivers. The atmosphere, the density, the scale, all on a handheld. If you can live with the inconsistency, it's a visually impressive feat and one of the most technically ambitious games on the system this far. Number 5 then is Hogwarts Legacy, and this Switch 2 upgrade is a massive step forward. If you are new to it, this is a full-on open world action RPG set in the 1800s wizarding world where you explore Hogwarts and its surroundings, taking on magical adventures, learning spells, and basically living out the Harry Potter fantasy. Now on Switch 1, the game was playable, sure, but let's be honest, looked incredibly rough. Low-res textures, missing lighting, load screens everywhere. It really struggled. It was impressive they got it running in the first place. On Switch 2 though, this version, it's a proper glow-up. Textures are sharper, lighting is rebuilt in places, and areas like the character creator and castle interiors now look dramatically better. In fact, the whole world looks dramatically better. There's anti-aliasing, improved combat animations, and also a noticeable bump in draw distance and detail. It's basically an asset swap across the board. The biggest upgrade for me though, and it's not even visual, is that the open world is finally seamless. Gone are the constant load screens just for entering shops or crossing areas. Now it flows properly, and that massively improves immersion. So yeah, it's not perfect. There's still some pop-in, the odd lighting bug, and a weird kind of plastic sheen on certain surfaces. But this is a serious visual upgrade overall. And yeah, if you already own the game on Switch 1 and you're even slightly tempted to revisit it, you should absolutely grab the upgrade. Number 4 then is No Man's Sky, and visually this one's made a massive leap. If you've never played it, this is a procedural space sim where you explore billions of planets, build bases, upgrade ships, and travel from planet to planet seamlessly. It's always been ambitious, but the original Switch version definitely struggled to keep up. This new free, keyword there, this was completely free, Switch 2 upgrade, it wasn't just a minor patch, it's basically a complete swap out. It now looks comparable to other systems, and that alone in itself is seriously impressive for a handheld. You know, the lighting is hugely improved, the worlds look incredible, and probably the first thing you will notice, your character. The detail there is seriously impressive. The same then goes for the cockpit, HUD, and UI, which also benefit from the resolution bump. Everything just looks razor sharp, especially when docked. It adds a whole new level of immersion. It's a night and day difference essentially. The frame rate then may be a problem for some, it's uncapped, and while it still mostly hovers around 30, you'll often see it climb into the 40s, even 50s, dependent on what you are doing. So overall, smooth, responsive, miles ahead of what we had on Switch 1. And yeah, there's still the odd bit of pop-in or a quick stutter when loading in terrain. Of course there is, that's on every platform, but nothing major. So yeah, look, if you already own it on the Switch 1, I mean, grab the upgrade, it's completely free and it's a really impressive makeover. At number 3 is Street Fighter 6, and visually this one blew me away. I own it on PS5 and honestly it is shockingly close. The character models, the animations, the lighting, they all hold up incredibly well on Switch 2. In motion, it's one of the most visually polished games right now on the system. Now look, sure, there are a couple of visual compromises. You'll notice some pixelation around environmental detail and definitely some wonky hair at times, but honestly in the middle of a fight it still looks fantastic. The only warning I'll give with this one is World Tour mode, the open world single player campaign. It's capped at 30 FPS on Switch 2, including the fights, and I just don't understand the logic. I played that mode on PlayStation, cleared it there, so for me, I'll be using this build for all of the other modes on Switch, the core fighting, which actually, weirdly, in contrast, runs at a full 60. So yeah, that definitely needs a patch. But look, really, Street Fighter 6 on the go, running and looking this good, yes please. And if you just want the core fighting, then you will be happy. And it impressed me the moment it loaded up. There's even a demo on the eShop if you want to check it out first. Yakuza 0 is at number 2, and hands up, this one's probably higher on my list than it'll be on most, but Yakuza is one of my all-time favorite series, and that's exactly why this is a personal list today. If you've never played it, Yakuza 0 is a prequel set in the late 80s, and basically you're getting dragged into a brutal power struggle over a small but vital piece of real estate in Tokyo. So it's mixing serious crime drama with completely unhinged side content, karaoke, racing, you name it, somehow it's in here and somehow it all works. On Switch 2 though, this isn't just a good port, it's the best way to play the game. The visuals are sharp, lighting is clean, character models look incredible, the city streets, especially at night, are a real showcase with reflections and neon lighting that just pop, and it all runs flawlessly. No drops, it is smooth and stable from the first scene to the last. And this is the kind of third-party release we need more of. A version that genuinely outshines all of the versions out there. So seriously, please support this release. Yakuza 0 is not just visually stunning, it's one of the best games in the entire series, and if this does well, there is so much more that could follow. And at number 1, we have Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition, and I doubt anyone is too surprised. Look, visually, this is the most impressive game on the Switch 2 right now, and really, that's what this list is about. Not just graphics for the sake of graphics, but ambition, pushing the hardware, and Cyberpunk does exactly that. This is basically the Switch 2's demo disc, a showcase of what the system can actually do. The scale of Night City, the lighting, the environmental detail, the characters, it's all here. And the fact that it's running at all on a handheld, let alone this well, is kind of ridiculous. Now there are 2 performance modes as well, that's worth noting, 30 FPS and 40 FPS, but just to be clear here, frame rate does dip in both, especially in the more demanding areas like the DLC zones, which are particularly dense, so yeah, that will definitely be problematic for some. But look, still, during moment-to-moment gameplay, exploring the city, taking on missions, or just soaking in the world, I think it feels great. And as for the game itself, you probably know the pitch by now, a massive open-world RPG where you play as V caught in a corporate dystopia and fighting to survive alongside a digital ghost. But beyond the premise, it is the world that makes it so special. Night City is just incredible. So yeah, finally, with this one, I do want to add, on Switch 2, it's also one of the best portable versions so far. I had it on Steam Deck, it absolutely destroyed it, and I think that is proof that this system has real power when developers go all in, and I think it only gets better as they get more comfortable with the architecture of the hardware. So this should be a game that excites you. Yes, it has issues, but remember, this is a day one attempt. We've got years ahead of us. So yeah, overall, is it perfect? I think I've made that clear, no, but it's bold, beautiful, and again, incredibly ambitious for what it is trying to achieve. Also with this one, honestly, bonus points for releasing it physically, fully on Kart, instead of opting for those crap keycards that appear to be, well, all the rage right now. Hopefully they don't continue, but it's not looking, I guess, I don't know, too promising. And that's the video down. What are your favorite visually impressive games on the Nintendo Switch? Let me know in the comments down below. Again, if you did enjoy this, do me a favor and subscribe. That helps out the channel a huge amount. And yeah, I'll see you all on the next video. Cheers all.